Hello everyone, I have good news and bad news about the full episode of episode 79. The good news is, Titan Speakerman is back on track. The bad news is, the Scientist Mech vs. Watchman of Doom fight felt like it was really laggy and was in a much lower FPS. Although, I would like to say that the sound design issues of Part 3 got fixed, but there is still the rendering issues and lighting issues. Boom for some reason made Part 1 worse. First of all, in Part 1, we actually see these transitions, which I would say is not so great. We actually also see this same transition, which has been used to transition between Part 1 and 2. Look, I know that y'all are gonna be hating me in the comments for saying the mistakes that Boom did, but the thing is, I am being very honest here, and I am saying my honest opinion on episode 79. I think that if Boom just spent a bit more time on this, it would be a really good episode. We actually do see some good changes in Part 1, like the environment, which looks more realistic, and the new design for Watchmen of Doom and Mafia Toilet. For some reason, the sound of Watchmen of Doom's blasters was delayed. This actually happened twice in the episode. Listen carefully. As you can see, Boom made that mistake, and this has to be intentional because I know Boom would never mess up the sound design. And finally, the fight that honestly felt like it was laggy, to be honest. When Watchman of Doom shoots the projectile at Scientist, after a few seconds, the projectile disappears and then comes back when the camera pans to Watchman of Doom. Looking at that animation honestly felt so cursed, lol. I do think that Boom made Part 1 worse in the full episode, but now let's move on to Part 3. In Part 3, I saw that the sound design got fixed, which is great, but there are still the lighting and animation errors, and honestly, they aren't really the big issue of Part 3, so it's fine in my opinion. And finally, the long-awaited Titan Speakerman. When I saw this scene, I was absolutely shocked. The Titan Speakerman design is awesome, and I can't wait for episode 80. Sadly, that is the only secret scene in this episode, but now I am gonna give my thoughts about episode 79. I think that this episode could have been a lot better if this was completely polished, but other than that, this episode is actually really good. The fights, the speaker bass, and the return of Titan Speakerman made this episode one of my favorites in the series. It's a solid 9.6 out of 10. And to be honest, that is all for today, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.